Hello everyone, so this is a bit of a different video today. I just realized it's completely in sync with my voice recorder and my actual phone audio. Anyway, this is a bit of a different video today. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about my journey with autism, and this is just going to be sort of me just trying to, I don't know, just share my story, I guess, because it might help other people out there. I don't know. I hope it does. But yeah, if you don't know who I am, I'll do a quick introduction. Also got the Beatles top on. Ask me anything about the Beatles and I know it. But anyway, so my name is Liam. Liam Plutner. I am 16 years old and I am from Perth, Scotland. I have ancestry in Donegal, Ireland, and in Germany as well. And yeah, this is sort of my story. So I began life in what a weird way of saying I was born. So I was born in September 2007. So I'm turning 17 in a couple of weeks next month. Um, and yeah, I'm very excited about that. I'm starting college tomorrow as well, so that's gonna be pretty cool. I'm filming this on the 27th of August. I don't know if this is gonna come out on the 27th or on the 28th, but it'll come out around about that time because there's not gonna be any editing in this, not really any thumbnail work either. So yeah, but yeah, so I was born in September 2007. So my family has a history of neurodivergent conditions. Now, if you don't know what neurodivergent it means that anybody who has a learning disability, or an intellectual disability, so dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, ADHD, so any mental health conditions, I believe they fall under the umbrella of neurodivergency. So my family has a history of that because one of my relatives, I'm not going to say who, has autism, and I have cousins who have autism and other mental health conditions as well. So it's quite common in my family. And my mum has, well, undiagnosed ADHD, we believe anyway. Um, so my family has a history of that. But that wasn't really very well known at the time. It was sort of, apart from the relative that I'm talking about, who's one generation in front of me. I'm not going to say who it is, for privacy reasons. But um, they got they weren't diagnosed until recently. But they're a generation above me. They're yeah. So they were the only case in the family that we really knew about. And then I was born, and I began this generation of where everybody, literally every child, has a neurodivergent condition or a learning condition, learning disability. Um, which is crazy, can I just say? Because according to official statistics, only 1 in 100 people in Scotland are autistic. And if if you add in ADHD and other conditions like that, it's probably still like a one in 1 in 10 or one in 20 chance. That's not official, by the way. Don't quote me on that. But more people have ADHD. A lot more people have ADHD, or have attention deficit. Anyway, so I was born in 2007. I'm going off on ramblings here. I'll try and focus mainly on my story. And first couple of years of my life they were pretty regular. I learned how to talk when I was two-ish. My first word was car, which is quite funny considering what this channel is usually about. And then when I was about, I think, four-ish, my mum, one of my mum's friends said, "Oh, I have one of my friends, her kid, has Asperger's, and Liam has traits of it." And so it was around about this time where my mum started doing research on it. I got signed up to an autism support group, which my mum actually works for now, which is quite funny. Full circle moment. And the funny thing is a few years earlier, my mum worked in the job centre. She had somebody come in who said, "Oh, my son has Asperger's," and my mum was like, "Oh, yeah, sure, just go and wait." And she had no idea what it was, which shows, my mum now works for an autism charity, and she has a lot of knowledge on it, on autism and other neurodivergent conditions as well. Um, and yet, 15 years ago, she didn't really know anything about it. It was me that really told her a bit about it. which is quite me, she learned about it through, my life story, essentially, so far anyway. Um, so I was diagnosed in 2015. I was around about 7.5. And it was around 2017 I started struggling with my anxiety. So my time in school was very different to what most other people's were. Because, most people, they go through, in Scotland anyway, they go through 7 years of primary school and then either 4 or 6 years of secondary. Now, obviously, COVID happened when I was in early secondary school, so it would be a bit different, but it was even more different for me because I had missed over a year and a half of education, maybe even 2 years of education. Sorry about that random noise there, it was like a noise. Um, so, yeah, I missed about 2 years of education, roughly, um, between 2017 and 2021. I was in and out of school because of my anxiety. And the surroundings of school were very. I felt very alienated by it, and I still did up until I left, but it was a lot better because of what I'm going to talk about in a bit. So I was in and out of school. I was really struggling mentally. I had depression, and a lot of anxiety. And it was around 2020 that obviously COVID hit. But I finally got what I was needing for many years, and that was medication. And this saved my life. I'll go and actually get my medication. Give me 2 seconds. So this is my medication bag right here. So I take that's paracetamol. So I take this. So this is called methylphenidate. So this is for my ADHD, and it helps me focus. So it means I can stay on task, and it means that I don't struggle as much in terms of focusing on doing specific things. I'm trying to remember. Give me 2 more seconds, guys. I think I've lost one of them. This is oh, this is oh, hang on. This is the other ones. This is sertraline. Now this is for my anxiety. So this is an antidepressant, and I've taken this since 2020, roughly late 2020, early 2021, and it was these two medications that made the difference for me, and they changed my life. So because of COVID, I gradually started going back to school. Um, and I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about my resilience and about coping mechanisms as well. So you may be wondering, what is this? So this is a weighted blanket. Now, whenever I get overstimulated by, certain, it can be noise, it can be light, it can be, having a million thoughts in my head at once, or it could be having an anxiety attack, I usually put this over me, because it helps stimulate my senses. Because people who are neurodivergent or autistic, or have any sort of, if they are autistic, I think it's just autism that's like this. I don't know if other conditions are like this, but your brain overstimulates more with senses. So autistic people are more likely to be sensitive to light, to sound, and it can be very difficult for them. And weighted blankets are one form of a coping mechanism. So instead of using restraint, which is very dangerous, and I would very quickly say, if you are an autistic person, you went through that, I am so sorry that you had to deal with that, because I can't imagine how difficult that must have been for you, and it can be very dangerous for the person doing the restraint and the person who's being restrained on. People have actually died from it. And I would instead recommend this because this is a lot safer. As long as it's a weight which is suitable to the person. So this weighted blanket has worked for me for years because it's very very good for my stimuli. And it's good for my proprioception. I also shake my leg a lot, which is due to my proprioception as well. But yeah, that's sort of a bit about how you can sort of deal with anxiety attacks. There's also other ways. I sometimes hit a pillow, or even hit the weighted blanket, because it means that I'm hitting something out of anger, but it's soft. It's not very it's not a person. So don't hit anybody if you're having an anxiety attack. Please don't, because I don't need to explain why that's wrong. But anyway, um, and there's other things you could do. I actually found that making YouTube videos is a good coping mechanism for my anxiety. And it's really really helped me out. With my anxiety. Tell you what I might do. I might actually. Oh, I can't zoom in. That's annoying. Anyway, and that's another reason why I got through COVID, F1, football, and this making YouTube videos. So yeah, my life started to get a lot better. I was back in school, and I was going to some classes. So I was on a fixed timetable. That's what they called it. And then I was back full time for third year. So I took I took history, modern studies, science. I think it was a mentoring award or something along those lines. Um, and maths and English. Um, so then I headed into fourth year, and I met the love of my life, my girlfriend Amelia. We started dating, and things have been amazing in our relationship. We've been dating for 2 years now. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, we will be married someday. But anyway, that's something else that isn't. I mean, it is kind of to do with my autism journey, because she's been very supportive, and she's always been there to support me whenever I've been struggling, and I'm really glad that I found someone who can help and support me when I have been struggling mentally with my mental health. Because there have been a lot of times, I do take these medications, but I still struggle with my mental health. A good point to raise is that sertraline doesn't get rid of anxiety; it reduces it. So you still get anxiety, of course you do, but it's not as how can I put it, explosive. In my case, I think other people have different cases, obviously, depending on like the dosage you take of it. Because I think I take what is it, 100 milligrams. Yeah, I take 100 milligrams of this. Which may seem like a lot, but it's not. It helps with my anxiety, and it means that I can function like an everyday person a bit more, a bit closer to that. I never will function like a normal person, but I'll be closer to that. So then I went into fourth year, and I decided to do modern studies, applications of maths, English, um, modern studies. I'm trying to think what else I picked. Business management and religious, moral, and philosophical studies. That's another one I did in S3. And I think I did admin and IT in S3 as well. And I did really well in them. I passed all of them. I also did PE just because it filled up my timetable, and I passed that as well. I passed all of them. I got a few A's and a few B's and a C. So I went to S5. I took modern studies, English, apps and maths, history, and RMPS all at a higher level. And one particular exam didn't go to plan. Because I actually had an anxiety attack in my RMPS exam. Because what happened was I had a very very weird timetable. I had over a week's gap between RMPS and history, but English and RMPS were on back to back days, and or was it apps and maths? It was one of the two. I think it was English one day and then RMPS the next, and it did not go to plan. I had an anxiety attack in my exam, and I had to go home, and I couldn't do the exam. Thankfully, the SQA were a little bit more forgiving than I thought they would be, and they gave me a decent grade. And thanks to my teacher for supporting me in that. So I did okay in my RMPS apart from the exam. And I did well in all my other subjects. I did a lot better than I thought I would. And you know what? I'm gonna give myself a little pat on the back because I did not think I would do that well. And I usually don't like praising myself, so I set very high standards. But I did enough, and I got into college, and I finally left school. And I'd struggled a lot with school. The environment was so toxic. Some of the teachers weren't great. Not gonna say names, but yeah, I think anybody watching who is at my school, you will know of a certain incident that happened last year during school, in which I called a teacher some things which I stand by. I stand by. I don't regret what I said. But anyway, and it wasn't just the teachers. Most of the teachers were perfectly fine. Some of them were very supportive. My RMPS teacher was very good. I really liked my history and modern studies teacher, because I had the same teacher for history and modern studies. She was very, very helpful, very good teacher. And one of my apps maths teachers was good. My English teacher, I didn't like her at the beginning of the year, but by the end of the year, great teacher. And I did well in all my classes, and I'm really thankful to all my teachers for helping me and supporting me, and to the school for supporting me. I had a laptop every single day at school, and I had all these things put in place for me, which wouldn't have been possible without CAMS, but I'm not going to thank them because they're on their last legs and the NHS is just dying because the government doesn't support them. But that's a political thing. And I'm glad I'm out of school now because I do not want to be in the same place as a bunch of 12-year-olds who say things like, Baby Gronk rizzed up Livy Dunn and Skibbity Riz and all that brain rot nonsense, okay? I am not into that, okay? And I my girlfriend and I were watching a video which was like brain rot, uh Gen Alpha brain rot I think it was versus Gen Z brain rot, and it's like Fred compared to Baby Gronk. Ohio's another one, isn't it? Ohio's another one, isn't it? Ohio's another thing that's been like brain rotted. But anyway, that's sort of my story in school because I struggled a lot. I struggled with bullying as well when I was younger, but I think it was a lot. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was because I was alienated by the environment and obviously the effects of being called certain things. It was really bad, but I have been bullied. Somebody called me a homophobic slur once, but that's just what they are they're like as a person. And I've been called ableist slurs as well. And anytime I hear an ableist slur, the temptation I have to just go over to that person and punch them is insane. But I am a pacifist. I'm a peaceful person, so I just ignore it. I just don't. And if you're wondering what word it is, it begins in R and ends in D. So, and it rhymes with uh leopard. I don't need to. I'm not going to say it. Okay. And I think that you need to do a bit of research on what that word actually means and the consequences of that word. Because a lot of people don't know that it's actually a bad word. Especially non-English speakers. So I was very forgiving when Yuki Tsunoda said it because he didn't know what it meant and he was horrified when he found out what it meant. But people who know what it means and say it, just because they like saying it and they don't care, please just don't. Why? Just, there's no point. Like, it's like the old adage, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a load of nonsense. Words do hurt, okay? I've been called many things, and I hate it. But you just have to deal with it as, as an autistic person. Um, and I get stereotyped as a German as well. People used to ask me, "Was your granddad a Nazi?" Because my granddad was in the German army in the war. Yeah, that's another fact. Which I'm not really that proud of, but I'm proud to be German. Because my granddad had to fight in the war because otherwise he'd have been sent to a concentration camp. But that's a different video altogether. About the Hitler Youth and how they were basically brainwashed and everything. But my granddad was not like that. He was not, as far as I'm aware, he was not anti-Semitic. And my dad grew up with a lot of racism as well. You know, it's gonna happen to a lot of German people who live in Scotland, because there are going to be some people who are uneducated and don't know that Germany is a beautiful country, and one or two people doing horrible things doesn't change that. Because obviously, well, no, it's not one or two people, but it's more like a political organization. But anyway, as I said, that's a different video altogether. So yeah, my autism journey's been a very difficult one, and my anxiety journey as well. And you learn a lot of things like coping mechanisms, what traits are. I mean, I'm gonna go and Google some right now, and I'm gonna just tell you how many of them I display. So I'm gonna type in autistic traits. Okay, right. Let's have a little look and see how many of them I fulfill. Okay, signs of autism, NHS, IS, the ever reliable NHS website. Signs of autism in, I'll go with adults because I am kind of an adult now. Okay, finding it hard to understand what other people are thinking and feeling. Yes, I overthink that a lot. I overthink what people say. I say something and I'm not sure if I've massively screwed up or not. And I'm just going through this list because I'm not gonna be able to name them off the top of my head because it's just normal to me at this point. Getting very anxious about social situations. Absolutely, I have so much social anxiety. I am a journalist, but you wouldn't think that I have social anxiety, but I absolutely do, and I struggle with it a lot. Trying to communicate with people, I suffer burnout so easily. My social batteries, like, some people can just, casually just go to parties and be absolutely fine the whole time, and then there's me. I can last about 2 hours, and then I'm exhausted, and I need to sit for like 20 or 30 minutes. Number three, finding it hard to make friends or preferring to be on your own. Yes, I am very, 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 I think, introverted, I think that's the term. Hang on a second, I'm just gonna check I'm right with that. Hang on a second. Yeah, I am an introvert. I am an introvert. Except the people I am comfortable around. I prefer to be on my own quite a lot. Because then I can just, be alone with my thoughts and be able to think and, stimulate myself. Seeming blunt, rude, or not interested in others without meaning to. Yeah, exactly. So, I am interested in your conversations, but it's like I'm struggling to understand some things. Finding it hard to say how you feel. Yes, I go through this one a lot. So, um, when I do have anxiety attacks, it is very difficult for me to be able to communicate how I feel, and it can be very, very difficult. Um, Next one, taking things very literally. For example, you may not understand sarcasm or phrases like break a leg. Now, I used to struggle a lot with that, and I will admit I am a fervent user of sarcasm. But I'm a bit better with that now. I can kind of tell tones a bit more now than I used to. Having the same routine every day and getting anxious if it changes, yes. Now, this is a big one for me because I am starting a new routine tomorrow by going to college for the first time. Because for the majority of my childhood, it's been the same sort of routine, and that is get up at about 7:30 for school, have breakfast, no, have a shower, have breakfast, brush my teeth, out the door. Oh yeah, take my meds as well, since obviously COVID. But now it's different. I have to get up even earlier. I have to get on a bus. I have to get off that bus. I have to walk, and it's a lot more than it's a lot different. But I'm gonna get used to it, and it'd be a lot more severe if I wasn't on my medication. I do get anxious sometimes if things do change, if plans do change, especially last minute, and I struggle quite a bit with that. Other signs of autism. So not understanding social rules, such as not talking over people. That's often just because I'm a very, very excited person. Even when I have my medication, even when I have my ADHD medication, I'm very excited and I'm like, oh my goodness, I know something about this, I know something about this, let me talk, let me talk, let me talk, let me talk. Okay, so I had to stop the recording because my phone battery ran out of storage. My phone storage ran out. So yes, where was I? I was at the social rules bit, wasn't I? So yeah, I always like when I'm in class, I'm always like when I was in class, in history especially, I'd always like interrupt Like I'd ask something and the teacher wouldn't like. I'd put not ask something. I'd put my hand up when the teacher asked something, but she would never let me answer it. And by the way, all my teachers were women, so that's why I'm saying she. And she'd never let me answer it because I'd always answer like two questions and then she wouldn't let me answer the rest. Just to be fair to the others, and sometimes I'd be like, my hand would be sore, and I'd be like, and then I'd say it, and she'd be like, Liam, let somebody else speak, things like that. Um, Avoiding eye contact, I don't do that too much. I'm better at that than I used to be. I can do eye contact. I'm doing it right now with that camera. I'm looking at my own eyes. Oh, they actually look pretty nice. Nah, I'm joking. Getting too close to other people or getting very upset if somebody touches you. Yes, right. So this is, I do sometimes get too close to people. That doesn't happen very often though. The other one does happen quite a bit. So if I'm overstimulating and somebody's putting their hand on my shoulder, I might not want them to touch it because it's like a sensory overload and I'm having an overload. So that's a very good one. Noticing small details, patterns, smells, or sounds others do not. Yes, that makes me go off food so easily. I go off so many foods because of yeah. And then my favorite one out of the bunch, having a very keen interest in certain subjects or activities. Now, I have a few. The Beatles, because I absolutely love the Beatles. I don't think that's a neurodivergent thing though. I think that's just, you can be a fan of an artist. Um, F1 though. Different story. F1 is my. If I was to go on Mastermind, I think that's what it's called. I would go with autism as my special subject. Not autism. F1 is my special subject. That is, yeah. Liking to plan things carefully before doing them. Yeah, so I hate leaving things until last minute. I want to know when specific things are, where I'm going, what I'm doing, what the plan is, etc., etc., etc. I'm also going to quickly have a look at the children's one because there might be a couple in here. Not responding to the... Oh, that's actually better. Upgrade! I banged on the desk and yeah. Anyway, not responding to their name. Yeah, that happens sometimes. That happens sometimes. Avoiding eye contact, not as much as it used to. Not smiling when you smile at them. When they smile at you, I think is what it means. Getting very upset if they don't like a certain. Yes, right. I am okay. Older children, over children, older children. Actually, I'll do older children. Here we go. Okay. Not seeming to understand what others are thinking or feeling. Yeah, I've done that. Unusual speech such as repeating phrases and talking at others. Yes. Yes. So if I'm overstimulating sometimes, I say the same thing over and over again. Having a strict daily routine, getting upset if changes. Yep, I've already mentioned that. Having a very keen interest. Yep, done that. Getting very upset if you ask them to do something. Um. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if it's like too complicated, um, yeah, we can get like very upset quite easily. Movements such as flapping their hands, flicking their fingers, or rocking their body. So my brother does this a lot. He is 8 next year, 8 in March, and whenever he goes to bed at night, he always rocks, and I know that because I'm always downstairs below his bedroom playing games consoles. Um, uh, Not talking as much as other children. Yeah, my brother is quite shy around other kids. I've noticed that a lot. And then whenever he's with me, he just constantly talks. Can't have 1 minute of silence around him. Not doing as much pretend play. I don't know I don't know if I was like that when I was younger. In terms of me anyway, right? I didn't respond to my name sometimes. I did avoid eye contact when I was younger. Um, I do still like to have repetitive movements, so I do this quite a lot. Um, or like that, or like I pat myself on the back of the head sometimes like this. I do that sometimes. Um, so I still do that. I used to rock my body a little bit, but I don't anymore. Um, I also do that a lot when I'm struggling. Like I itch the back of my head, which can be quite sore. I was quite a chatterbox when I was younger. I think I was shy around other people that I didn't know, but I think a lot of kids are like that. I was very chatty around other children. I think most kids were probably thinking, "Shut up, Liam," you know. Nodding as much pretend play. Yeah, I was not into pretend play. I didn't understand it. I don't think anyway. My brother, I don't know what he's like. Repeating the same phrases. Yeah, I repeat the same phrases. So yeah, that's just sort of a quick look at some traits. If you think you might have some of these, then contact your local GP. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but yeah, that's just sort of a few little autistic traits. So this has been a good video. I'm glad I talked about this because I think it's important um, to talk about my autism journey, and also to because I think it's good to inspire other people who might be neurodivergent or also struggle with anxiety or ADHD. And I'll end it on this note because this is to do with YouTube and to do with my content creation. I often procrastinate from making videos because of um my ADHD and my autism. It's very I procrastinate so much and I get distracted so easily that I just don't do it, and I end up watching YouTube videos or playing games on my phone. Mad fit Pac-Man, and I waste my time doing that instead of doing something productive, and I think, God damn, I wish I done something productive. So that's just a little bit uh of a background on autism, my story with autism and ADHD and other neurodivergent conditions. Now another thing I'll say before I end is there's actually many conditions which you can get with autism. It's a sort of a package deal kind of thing. Um, so there's a few. So it says here that other diagnoses can include anxiety, bipolar disorder, depression, Rett syndrome, ADHD, schizoid personality disorder, selective mutism. So being, I think that's to do with like yeah, so if somebody becomes unable to speak due to freeze response, schizophrenia, which actually used to be diagnosed, which autism used to be diagnosed as, which is horrible, OCD, Einstein syndrome. Oh, late talker. My brother's a late talker. I don't know what a late talker would be considered to be. Yeah, yeah. My brother would be under that category because he didn't really talk until he was 4, so he would probably be under the category for Einstein syndrome. Social anxiety disorder, yeah. PTSD. I do kind of have that from when I was younger. I remember hearing like a form, like something that people who suffered abuse. Now this is for me. This is verbal abuse. Um, Uh, what was I gonna say again? Sorry, I've totally spaced out. Oh yeah, PTSD. I filter out stuff from my childhood. I choose not to remember it. It just blank mostly, unless like somebody mentions a specific event to me, I might be able to remember it. But to be honest, I think I just filter it out. So that's my autism journey. I think that's everything I was thinking of mentioning. Oh, there's one more. Learning disorders, mainly speech disorders. So stammering and stuttering and things like that. And there's loads of famous autistic people out there. I'll actually give you a list right now of famous autistic people. Um, so Dan Aykroyd, who was in Ghostbusters, he is autistic. Um, so was Albert Einstein. He was suspected to be autistic. Now I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put ones that were diagnosed and ones which probably did. So Daryl Hannah, who is actually married to Neil Young, very famous musician. I'm a big fan of. Anthony Hopkins, the actor. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any others that are here. Um, yeah, I don't think there's any others here who uh Oh yeah, Elon Musk, but we don't talk about him. And then there's others that are on this list. And there's another one in my head, David Byrne from the Talking Heads, that are suspected to have it or um probably had it, if they're dead, or if they were around beforehand. So Einstein probably had it. Tim Burton probably has it. Henry Cavendish probably had it. Charles Darwin probably had it. Emily Dickinson probably had it. Bobby Fischer, we don't talk about him either. He probably had it. Bill Gates probably has it. Barbara McClintock may have had it. Michelangelo may have had it. Sir Isaac Newton probably, yeah, I remember hearing about that. He probably had it. So did Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland, but again, we don't talk about that. Skip Jerry Seinfeld, we don't talk about him. The guy who created Pokemon's apparently autistic. Elon Musk, not Elon Musk, he is, but Nikola Tesla, yes, Nikola Tesla was probably autistic. And Clay Martso, who's a professional surfer, and Dr. Vernon Smith, who's a professor of economics. And there's a list of other people who have I just. Oh my god! I have just read some. I have just read it. Right, right. This website's probably unreliable, but it says more famous people with autism. Right at the bottom of the list is Lionel Messi. Nah, nah. That is disgraceful. That is no. That's criminal. That is criminal. I tell you what. I'm actually gonna Google that right now. Messi autism. Does Messi have autism or Asperger's? Let's have a little read of this. Um, let's see. Um, Romario said he might have it. Wow. Hang on a second. This video claims that Messi had problems with reading social cues and interacting with other people when he was a child, which are typical autistic traits. Lino came onto the picture of the plastic spoon in his mouth and didn't remove it until the end of the session. It looked upon an autism-related mannerism, but the video claimed Messi did this as a way of showing how annoyed he was. No one knew why he was annoyed. He was really shy, apparently. And apparently he typed something or wrote something out instead of telling it. He's got a few characteristics of it. I mean, there's a clip of him at the Ballon d'Or where he's just staring around. It would be quite funny if he did have it, and it would be really cool. It would be really cool if he did have it. Okay, this is just a factually okay, I've just found an absolute scam of a website called Total Care ABA. Please report this website for false information because it says has also been open about his diagnosis with Asperger's syndrome. He hasn't been diagnosed with it. Yeah, Eminem probably has it. Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Is there anybody else on here that's palpably false? Not really. But yeah, that's everything. I can't believe I just went on that long thing. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. This has been a very good video and to make. And yeah, I'll see you all for the next video whenever that may be. So, bye guys.